another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We got a jam-packed episode for y'all tonight, but before we get into that, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to be here for a good time and a long time. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
You're doing better than the Lakers.
That is agreed. I am doing better than the Lakers. As you can see, for some, it's a purple line right here. That's a Lakers hat. I have it backwards. Hopefully they win tonight and I can wear it forward going forward. This episode, we will be touching on the NFL draft just happened. We'll be touching on, as mentioned, Lakers, rest of the playoff series, what's going on with Luka, looking ahead to that Cavs Pacers series. But we're going to start off where the news has still been going on, a part of the news cycle, probably the most important news story that came out of the draft, which you don't expect to say from a fifth-round draft pick. But Shedeur Sanders fell. Get straight to it, point blank, period. Why did Shedeur Sanders fall to the fifth round?
Media hype. The media machine got us all, and it got everybody. And well, we know we saw on field, but there were some concerning things on the field too. That game against Kansas at Arrowhead, it stands out to me because there were some throws that just were short, and it was a windy day. It was cold, and his ball was not really cutting through the wind. He wasn't able to hit hole shots against cover two and all this stuff, against that team, and he struggled. The offense struggled, but he in particular struggled, and the protection wasn't awful that day. So look, it's football stuff, and then it's not football stuff, right? We can talk about the lack of arm strength. We can talk about the lack of mobility. I think those things, look, he's not a fifth round talent. He's a second round talent at worst. But it's the other stuff. It's the intangibles. It's his father misplaying and misreading the room and misreading the situation in the NFL, telling his son, hey, you're going to go. We're good. We're good. We're good in the West, like John Morant said. Like, you're not. Like, it's the same thing. Like, you think that you're going to be able to pick your landing spot, and you go out there and you say that on a public forum, and you think that that's going to fly, and it doesn't. And on top of that, I'm watching the Dan Patrick show today, and Ross Tucker goes on there and says that ahead of the Colorado versus Colorado State game, Shedeur just skipped the production meeting with the announcers, which is like common. Like, if you're a quarterback for the team and you're playing on national TV, you have the national TV slot, you go to the production meeting and you sit in there and you answer questions and you talk to those guys so they have things to talk about during the game and they can talk you up. He missed that. Okay. And then you hear that with Dayball, and this has been verified as true by multiple sources now. Like, it's true that with the Giants and Dayball, he had his meeting and they gave him the installment packages or whatever and the plays he had to study going into the interview essentially, and he didn't know them. And then he got mad when Dayball called him out on it. And so there is a sense of entitlement, and it's always worried me. Obviously, on the field, he's a heck of a football player. It doesn't change that. Is he as good as we thought he was? That's up for debate. I think the NFL evaluators may know more than all of us. So there is that. But it's always worried me. I mean, the legendary thing and the way he talks about himself in third person and the whole act and going into the locker room, and you got the baby performing and you got Rich the Kid performing and whoever they got that day. And the way it's cool how Deion does things in an unapologetically black way at Colorado. That's fine. But the confidence that Shedeur walks around with Deion's confidence, but he doesn't have half the game that Deion had. And that's the problem that he had all through college, and that's why he fell in this draft. And it was earned. It was this thing that he had earned. He had earned the scenario at the end of the day because he didn't approach the situation with enough. I hate to use the word humility. I feel like it's being misconstrued a little bit with the way we talk about Shedeur, but yeah, I think a little bit of that. I think a little bit of humility. I think a little bit of gratefulness in the sense that you got to be able to, speak these guys' language, man. You never see these NFL prospects go walking into a room and they're like so cocky and confident and all this stuff. And more often than not, they're extremely gracious to the people they're speaking with, and there's like a thank you for having me kind of mentality even with the best players. So for him to not have that mentality, and for him to think he can get by on shortcuts, it's crazy. It's crazy. And there's been no one's refuted it from the Sanders side. The stories about him not coming prepared to talk to the Giants or this production meeting story I just talked about now, it's concerning. It's concerning. And the father, Dion's letting Gilly and Wallow into the locker room, and Gilly with that big ass hat in the locker room, and it's just a circus. And so you can kind of understand why he fell. If it was about race, and I really felt that way, I'd be the first one to say it. I don't really feel like this is about race. I really don't think that's what this is about. I think it's about the NFL actually trying to humble him, but for different reasons, because of the actions of his actions, and because of Dion's actions as well. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I know Anscape wanted to run with it and make this big thing, and I get it. And look, it could be somewhat about race, I guess, but I just don't think it is. I really believe that this is about his actions, and unfortunately, he tanked his own draft status.
Yeah, I think if he was more humble, like you said, the draft process might have been a little different. Like if he didn't come in, like it first starts with Dion saying that he's only going to allow him to go to a select few teams, which, I mean, this is not like he's the greatest quarterback prospect ever. He was just one of the top prospects of this draft. And knowing that there's a great draft class next year, teams aren't going to reach for iffy prospects. Like, sure, he was good in the Big 12, but the NFL is a whole different monster. And then for him to come to the combine, he doesn't throw, which that's not uncommon for top quarterbacks. But looking back, maybe he would have helped him if he threw. But in the media portion, for him to be so cocky and just say like, "Oh, I've turned 2 programs around. You'd be a fool to not pick me." Like, if you don't believe I'll turn your franchise around, don't pick me. I'm like, that's a weird way to enter the NFL. Like, kind of, who are you? You're putting a big target on your back too once you get in the league, because these guys, they're already talking about you double patting and throwing picks. Just watch. Like, I was watching Jeff Teague's podcast the other day, and he mentioned how when Lonzo came in the league, he was fired up to play defense. Like, he's not getting nothing against me. That's gonna be the same way for him, for Shador. Like, all these guys see the hype, they see the talk. He's in Gatorade commercials. He's getting more money than all these other guys in the NFL without having proved anything. So they're gonna try to make an example out of him. And look, I'm rooting for the kid. I want to see him do well. But this should be tape for future quarterbacks coming out or future players coming out on how not to approach the draft process. The draft process is like a long interview for your next job. And for us who we have normal lives, if we went into an interview and just so cockily, like, just made it known, like, I'm the best candidate. There's no way you could pick anybody else over me. If you don't, like, you're taking a step back. What are the chances that they're going to hire you? They're not going to hire you. So, like, seeing him fall to the 5th round, sure, that was a shock. But the way he approached it, at some point, I thought he wasn't going to get drafted just because he approached it like he was this can't miss prospect when he has a lot of flaws at the end of the day. Like, we watch the tape, we see that he's got great touch. He has a great completion percentage, but he takes bad sacks. And against better competition, he doesn't really rise to the occasion. So, like I said, I'm rooting for the kid. I want to see him succeed at the next level. For Cleveland, this is the best situation for him because if he's able to beat out one of those quarterbacks at some point, maybe he can show them that he should be the future guy. But I don't know if it's going to work in Cleveland. I could see this being like a one and done. Like, he'll be on the roster, but they'll get their quarterback next year if things, don't pan out for them.
So what do you think is the ceiling now for Shador? Because I think expectations and what some people, not including us, but some people would have thought for Shador, as you just mentioned, he might not even start a game this year at all. What's the expectations? What's the ceiling for Shador now being a part of the NFL?
I think he's going to be like an average back. Average. The ceiling is an average quarterback, back 20s type of quarterback. I don't really see and he doesn't have elite traits. I don't really see him being able to, unless he's in an offense like the Dolphins with Tua, and you get speedsters out there, and he can get it to them quick, and they run off and score touchdowns. That's the only way I see him really having a above average career. I mean, the floor, he's a backup, third string, possibly out of the league at some point in the mid 20s. Because it's one thing to be like, who is it? Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson could carve out a long career in the NFL. He's so hated as the second overall pick because he didn't perform in New York. That's fine. But he seems like a kid who'll put his head down, he'll work, he's not going to do a lot of talking. Like with Shador, it seems like he's doing a lot of talking. So who's going to take him on if he doesn't succeed at his first stop?
Yeah, I think that, look, his ceiling, I think that people have to understand too, and they're trying to wrap their heads around the fall and how he got here. The reality of it is that NFL evaluators look at it two ways. Look at the quarterback position from two different things, two different traits. Can you throw the ball with pressure bearing down on you accurately, and you throw it in anticipation? Do you do those two things really, really, really well? And when I watched Shador Sanders in college, I think he did a good job throwing pressure in his face. I don't really worry about that, but I think he kind of has like the Daniel Jones trait, right? Where it's kind of like a lot of the throws are directly to guys as opposed to leading him into a certain spot or throwing him open, right? And that's why Jackson Dart and guys like that went ahead of him, because they have more, and Cam Ward, Jackson Dart in particular, have those throws on tape more often than he does. And even Tyler Shough, as embarrassing as some of his lowlights are, some of his highlights are pretty crazy as well. So I say all that to say that, I mean, with Shador, you're looking, he could be a starter in the NFL and be solid. Like Miles is saying, I think middle average quarterback. I think he at a high point in his best year, he could be a guy that is at that 15-13 range. He could probably sneak in there if he's cooking and he's playing good football and understands the system and grows up and matures a little bit, for sure. And he can operate your system and manage the game, but he's not like Brock Purdy, where Brock Purdy does an incredible anticipation. He's not that. Like right now, he needs to become that to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. So that's where we are with him. I think he gets to throw the ball a lot more anticipation than he does if he wants to fit the ball into the windows that are basically going to be non-existent at the NFL level, as opposed to what they were back in college. He's going to have to be able to throw the ball in some tight windows. So better let that thing go the second the guy gets a step. If they're even, he's leaving, throw it. That's the mentality. He has to have that. So we'll see if he does, but people need to understand why he fell. And I think the more you watch stuff, I'm not paid to watch film for a living, but the more I watch these guys and I watch Jackson Dart I was wrong about Jackson Dart. I mean, I was wrong. I came on here and told you guys I don't think he's that good. And then I watched him and I'm like, oh, wait, like he actually can play. Like when pressure's bearing down on him, he can make all the throws. He can make every single throw on the field, and he leads guys to space. Like Shador doesn't have enough of those plays on tape. He doesn't. Simply enough, he does not. And that's the problem. So, we'll see what happens. Not good enough to be as cocky as he was. That's the issue.
1,000%. And think you said it, Greg. I think pretty much exemplifies and wraps up the Shador conversation. We have to see what happens. Is he came into the draft process with Deion's confidence, but not with Deion's talent. That was the issue. If you had Deion's talent, if you had Eli's talent, y'all would have been able to pull whatever strings y'all wanted to pull. Y'all could have went to whatever team if it was that level. That wasn't the case. Dropped to the 5th round. There are plenty of other players that were drafted, though, before him and after him, that y'all may feel were actually some of your favorite picks, better picks of the draft. Looking at the draft in its entirety, what were some of your favorite picks, favorite selections for different teams, no matter what round?
Travis Hunter. I mean, that immediately off the bat stands out because him going to Jacksonville, him teaming up with Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence in a Cohen style offense. I'm I'm intrigued by this Jacksonville team to see what happens next year. And Travis definitely adds a different element for them that I mean most NFL teams have never seen with a guy who plays both ways. And it was definitely an overpay, but it was a big splash by a new young GM trying to set the tone for his tenure here. And this is a guy that they can easily market down there in Jacksonville as their future superstar, which I think he's going to be. Um, I mean, a couple other ones like Scatterboo, I like that one for the Giants. That was a good pick in what was that, the third round, fourth round. Um, if you watch his tape at Arizona, he's not a speedster. He's not going to blow by you, but he's real compact. He'll run right over you. He doesn't usually go down off the first hit, and he's got some skills out of the backfield too. So it's a good compliment. Him and Tyrone Tracy. I mean, Tracy better hold on to the ball, otherwise he might be seeing the back end of the touches for the Giants. But it's a good backfield they got there now. And then another one I liked was Andrew Mukuba, the safety from Texas. Uh, the rich get richer over there in Philly. I mean, the first couple rounds, who was it? Jahad Campbell from Alabama. I mean, that was a luxury. Why not? He was one of the best players. You take him. But Mukuba, I honestly thought he was going to drop a little bit. They took him in the second round. And safety wise, they've got a deep room now. Like, that's the thing with the Eagles. They're not even drafting they're drafting for depth. Like, these guys are luxuries for them. And somebody as talented as Mukuba, who might be a little undersized, but he can hit. I feel like he can step right in that secondary, which is young, and they've got a lot of young pieces on that defensive backfield, and he's only going to help them. So, I mean, Howie, they gotta start sending out teaching tape to these GMs by Howie Roseman because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Kyle Williams going over to the Patriots. I thought that was a really good pick for them. I thought they're gonna need someone who's athletic and super electric the way he is, and a burner to pair up with Stephon Diggs' old line. So we're gonna need to see. You're gonna need a balance there, and I think that helps. And he can learn from Stephon Diggs too. But he's gonna play right away with that receiving core over there. I actually like the Will Campbell pick for them too. I know people talk about his short arms, like as if like he has the arms of a T-Rex, but he can play the position. And I think I don't think it's hard to not believe in that guy when you hear him talk as well. I know that's not a way to accurately assess someone's ability, but I like that pick a lot too. Other picks, I like the Mason Taylor going to the Jets. Like he can play. I think he's a really good receiving tight end. That's going to help Justin Fields over there, right? And maybe they can call less run plays and throw the ball more with him and get guys over there that can help him out. So that's a nice pickup for them too. Yeah, I mean, I like the Giants' whole draft. I know that I'm the Giants fan on the podcast and everything. I get it, but I thought they genuinely had a really, really good draft as well. And I wasn't surprised at the point where they picked Jackson Dart, obviously, because of the fact that we've been hearing about it going into it. But they give up a very minimal amount of draft capital to go get him. And if that's your franchise guy, then this draft goes from being an A to an A plus, slam dunk, and it saves everybody's job. I mean, you don't have to play him. So it just buys you more time as an organization too. That's an exciting pick. And the Giants have never had a quarterback that has been as fiery and competitive just from like outwardly, like a Baker Mayfield style guy like this. So I'm really interested to see how that plays in New York too. I think it'll play well, but we'll see when his time comes. What else? I thought the Eagles had a great draft. He brought them up too. Tennessee had a strong draft all overall, to be honest, and they got Restrepo too to go back there to play with his guy who he's familiar with. We know Restrepo ran like a 6'4" 40, but he wasn't feeling good. So You know, that's the reason why he went. Was it undrafted? I think he was undrafted, or it was late. It was very late, but they got him. And so that's exciting for them. That's, I guess, a good pick for them too. I thought Carolina did a great job getting Ted. I thought that was a great pickup for them. Pairing him with Bryce. Bryce needs a tall target, a big guy who can go play volleyball at the catch point, and he can do that. So that's a very good pickup for that team playing in Canales' offense. And, I think that team's the team on the rise. So that's a nice pickup for the Panthers as well. I think I was pretty excited to watch that and to watch him go there. And I knew he wasn't going to fall. I knew all that was noise. So I'm not surprised. I thought Dallas silently had a good draft too, to be honest. They always go in the trenches and get offensive linemen. They got Tyler Booker early. I thought Tyler Booker might be in the second round. This draft class was so top heavy that the guys I thought were going to be in the second round, that'd be second round steals in normal years, all got pushed up. So Harmon went to the Steelers. I can tell you whose draft I hated: the Steelers. I hated the draft. I think they added to their strengths, sure, but you guys are mediocre. You guys are mediocre every year in the sense that you guys are going to make the playoffs and never be bad and bottom out. You have to go out there and take a swing at a quarterback that you actually can play. Will Howard, I think, is a potential sleeper. He's not terrible, right? But I would have given Shedeur. I would have taken a swing at Shedeur Sanders at some point in the third or fourth round. Goodness gracious, when he's falling and the value is starting to meet where you're at. Like I would have given that a try there. Shedeur is not bad. We want to make sure we make that very clear. He's just not a top 3 pick good, like he walked around acting like he was, or while sitting down in that legendary studio. Like, it's not that, but he can play. So I thought the Steelers should have taken a shot at him, but they didn't do that. So yeah, there's some guys I like. Most teams did pretty well. That I mentioned anyways. You got some bad ones.
Hey, Miles, staying on that theme. Who are some teams that you thought they dropped the ball when it came to the draft, like you mentioned? Howie Roseman needs to send a How to Draft for Dummies book for a lot of these GMs.
Some of the picks, like the Dolphins had a couple reaches. Like, they took Kenneth Grant, 13th. I think he had like a back end, maybe second round grade. I think they drafted a quarterback too in the draft at some point.
Quinn Ewers,
yeah, late. I mean, it's worth it talent wise because last year we were talking about him as possibly like a top 10 pick. So you wonder what happened this year at Texas. What was it, the injuries, or is he just not good? So it was worth a shot. I mean, with Tua, you never know. He could, have a training camp injury and he's done for a while. So, but I didn't really like their draft. It's kind of it. I didn't look at too many of the other teams' drafts. I looked at some of the ones that I liked, but I kind of, skimmed through it. Just skimmed through it,
If you didn't take any trench players in this draft, you didn't take defensive tackles, and you had a bad draft. This is a strong defensive tackle class, and a strong running back class. So when you start trying to beef up around the perimeter and get better with your skill players, that's a tough sell. The Browns had a sneaky okay draft because they took a swing on 2 quarterbacks. They have 5 guys in that room. They're gonna have to cut some people. That's gonna be really weird and awkward. And it just tells me they think very lowly of Shedeur Sanders because you picked them last of the quarterbacks you had. You picked Dylan Gabriel first in the 3rd round, which means you thought more highly of him. You picked Shedeur last, and then your call Shedeur basically was you just sounding so unexcited about the prospect of having him. And basically saying, yo, you got to earn everything you get, man. Like, here. It was like his first day in jail. Like, they threw the orange jumpsuit at him and said, here, like, if you act up, you're in real trouble. We're going to put you in cell block 1 or whatever, right? So it's interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out there with the quarterback competition. I wouldn't rule Shedeur Sanders out. I think he could win the job outright. I don't think this is great. Joe Flacco would still play at a high enough level, but if you can't beat out Joe Flacco, Shedeur, it's going to be a long career for you. It's going to be tough, man. Like, you're going to have a long road where you're kind of bouncing around from team to team. So, it'll be interesting there. But Yeah, I mean, there weren't too many drafts that I hated. Right? I think teams are just getting smarter. All in all, I don't think teams are stupid. I just think with the Steelers, bro, like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to come play for you. So you know that you're going to be too good to draft a quarterback high next year. Let's stop all the talk about trading up for quarterbacks. It doesn't happen. Teams don't trade out. Okay. If that happened, the Giants would have gotten Cam Ward right now because the Giants tried a million different times and offered a motherload package to get him, and it didn't happen. Teams don't trade out. So you can say that all you want, but more often than not, you're not going to be able to trade up. So to not take swings at quarterback, I would have rather that the Steelers had the draft the Browns had. Like, just take swings at quarterback. Just take a couple quarterbacks and let them play. I'm not relying on Aaron Rodgers unreliable. But like, why would I do that? Like, I'm not relying on that guy who's high all the time and walking around here like he's the prime minister. I'm good. Like, yo, go out there, get your quarterbacks, give them an opportunity to compete in camp, and give yourself the best opportunity to build a sustainable roster with a quarterback that is growing and getting better year to year. And also fire your Arthur Smith, because he sucks at what he does. He's a terrible coordinator. And no matter what quarterback they hit, you can't be excited about it because he's a terrible play caller. Still, his problems are very easy to fix. Mike Tomlin going to keep running it back until he gets fired eventually. I'm really concerned about that. He's just doing the same nonsense. It's insanity.
Looking over to the NBA side, and before I even go into that, to your point with Shador and Joe Flacco, I don't know if y'all remember during the live stream, he mentioned to his pops, yo, they got Joe Flacco. You know going into that. You mentioned that yourself. Pops laughed it off like Joe Flacco my age. You still might not be able to beat out Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco at the age that he's at, I think even right now at this point, he has a better skill set than Shador at the moment. So the Browns didn't sign old Joe Flacco just for no reason. So you're competing with Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett already thinks he's going to be the starter. He's talking, yeah, I didn't come here to be a backup. So you got to compete with old confident Kenny Pickett, small hand Pickett. And I think he might be able to beat out Dylan Gabriel. It's just those other two. And then you good. Next year, next year follow itself, because next year then you'll probably have to deal with the nasty man. And we'll see a year off of the nasty man. Maybe he comes back, feels reinvigorated. Maybe Shador prays for him and things get better for him. Who knows? Looking at the NBA side, before we get into any of the actual, games that are still going on, we've talked about this probably for the last, I don't know, like 3 years, that Giannis was on his way out. Pay attention, Giannis is on his way out. They lose. He about to fight Halliburton's dad. He gripping people by the back of their neck. Obviously frustrated. Obviously, the rumors are swirling around. He's already unfollowed the Bucks. They're supposed to be meeting tomorrow with the big brass and all of the people in the front office to have a meeting with him. So, of course, shout out to the ringer, Bill Simmons, who has way more time than us. He does this professionally. So they already came up with some trade scenarios. I'm going to list the trade scenarios. You tell me buy or sell. The Orlando Magic. The Bucks will get Franz Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, Jet Howard, Orlando's first round pick in the 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2031 draft, with pick swaps in 2028 and 2030 for Giannis. Buy or sell?
So,
No, I was gonna say I could dig that.
I think it's just him and Paolo doesn't seem like a good fit together. So you trade all those assets and all those players like Franz. I'd rather them stand pat, and keep those guys and see what they can, fill around Franz and Paolo, than like go all in. And I mean, they might be a top 5 seed with that team.
That's an indictment on Giannis, by the way. You saying that's an indictment on Giannis. because
I mean,
the
it's
reason
hard.
why
You got
the reason why it doesn't work
a lot of perimeter players to play with.
that can shoot it. Yeah, and the reason why it doesn't work is Giannis can't shoot worth a damn.
Yeah.
And Paolo can shoot it, but Paolo's an average shooter.
Yeah, but Paolo's also another guy who's a high usage player. So
I'm driving downhill. I'm not worried about the usage more than I'm worried about the fit. Paolo's not a great catch and shoot guy, and they can't both drive all the damn time at the rim. So to your point, yeah, I actually don't disagree. The return is fine for the Bucks. If you're going to make that trade, I think the return is probably more than fine. But your picks won't be great with that trade. So I'm going to sell it because I think they can get something better. I'm going to sell it and they can get something better. That's my mentality there with that trade.
By the way, to get something better, that will be for you to sell us on what the trade package would be, because the Ringer did not choose the Nets as one of the dream destinations.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, you already know. Detroit Pistons. Bucks would get Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, Tobias Harris, 20.
right.
Yo, sell that. Yo, don't even finish that.
Yo,
sell the trade. Jaden Ivey ass.
Oh my god.
Houston Rockets, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and first round picks in 2025 and 2027, plus one of the Suns' future first.
Damn, they're selling Sengun.
That's a lot. That's a lot to give up for Houston. That's a lot. I'd be curious to see if Houston even would even do it. I know Houston's desperate for a superstar. I'm not sure Giannis fits the mold of the kind of superstar that they're looking for. They're looking for an offensive
slender man
genius. KD is the perfect fit. Truly, he is. Just go get buckets for us. We need somebody to get his buckets when it matters the most. Actually, KD may not be the man for the job. Whole different conversation though. But ideally, it would be Kevin Durant. So I'm gonna say that's a lot to give up, and I'm gonna sell the guy that it'd be that much. I don't sell them as a destination. I sell the trade. I don't think that they give up Alperen. You give up. I trade Jalen Green for free. I trade him for free. It's fine. I'll pack his. But you go pack. Every Houstonian will go pack his bags for him. That's fine. But as far as Alperen goes, that's a lot to give up. That's a lot. I can't co-sign that one.
That's the other thing with it, because of Giannis's contract. It's going to be some people like an Alperen that's going to have to be thrown in there for some of these deals. OKC, Hartenstein, Casey Wallace, Nikola Topic, Aaron Wiggins, Dylan Jones, 2-4 first rounders, and some leftover. Yeah, that's the trade. They put leftover quinoa. I'm not.
This is some trade you would do to your little cousin in 2K, because
that's a horrible trade.
Heck? Hartenstein's the leading man in that trade.
Out of control. You see? No, This is why I don't mind that they didn't put the Nets in their column, because this is a joke. That's a terrible trade package to draw up. You're gonna have to come up off of something with of value. You think OKC can trade for Giannis and not come up off of one of Jalen Williams or Chet? One of them is in that trade. So it's gonna happen. You need to accept that it's gonna happen. You're not gonna trade your spare parts, your spare tire in your trunk for Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're not gonna do that. I almost didn't say his name the right way. You're not gonna do that. So nah, man, I'm not buying that. That's a bad trade. It's almost as laughable as the Detroit one. The Detroit one is just funny because you said Ron Holland, and just the names are so funny because Ron Holland ass, Jaden Ivey is terrible. That's a bad list of players. I'm seeing it in this Knicks series. Those guys suck. They suck. Jaden Ivey not playing. God bless him. He needs help. I know that's a good Christian man and all that. God bless you. But you're not good. He's not good.
Hey, last one before we talk about the Nets, which I think, I can't speak for Miles. I think that will be, regardless of whatever Greg comes up with, that will be the best solution and the best fit for him, is either between Nets and OKC for me. And OKC, like you said, would have to give him more than what they're projecting. The last one that they did put up on here, because they did put the Spurs as well, and I don't see any world that they get a trade where you keep Giannis and Wemby together. Indiana Pacers, Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd, and a bounty of picks.
I mean, that one's not as bad. If like, because that's the thing for Giannis to get Giannis, you're not gonna just be able to give up a bunch of picks and be tricked that way. You're gonna have to give up a star player and a lot of picks. If it comes down to it, Pascal fits the bill for a good player to keep them competitive. If that's what they want to do, they'll get picks back in return for that. But for the Bucks, like picks don't really excite me as much as getting another star player. Like, how are you going to sell that? You're just not going to be good after seeing Giannis for a decade and seeing a ring for the first time in franchise history. I think so. If they got that package from the Pacers, I'm sure they'd think about it. But
this Ringer article didn't take into account how the NBA works. I mean, think about the last few big superstar trades. Didn't those guys decide where they went for the most part? Isn't that usually how that goes? If you're truly a superstar tier 1 player, like a guy who orbital player, a guy who the team, the franchise orbits around you, and you can lift them out of the dirt. If that's what we're talking about here with Giannis, and I have my own opinions, but Giannis deserves that credit and just being in that conversation. He's not going to the Pacers. He's not going to OKC. He already told you what he wants to do. People just ain't listening. He sat down in an interview after Luka got traded to the Lakers and told people, yo, I want to see more European players play in big markets. I think it's great. He literally waxed poetic for a long, long excerpt. I read it where he was talking about that. That dude wants to play in a big market. That's why a lot of people talk about the Nets, because not only is it a big market, it's untapped. It's untapped. So, and they have the picks. And if the lottery hasn't happened yet, if they strike gold and get a top 3 pick in the lottery, it's something they can throw in there, and then you're going to get your superstar player to build around if you're the Bucks. The Nets are a lot more appealing than people give them credit for as a destination for Giannis. People aren't taking it seriously. Here are the realistic locations for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's either the Nets, the Lakers are very much in the mix. People don't want to hear it. Yes, they are. And then the Warriors are also in the mix as well. That he's going to play for a big time franchise in the next team. He is not going to go play for another Milwaukee. Oh, you think he about to go 10 miles west or 10 miles west to go play for Indiana or whatever? Are you crazy? He was just living in Milwaukee he don't want to live there no more. It's over. He's not doing that. He's not going to OKC. He's not going to Orlando. He's not doing that. He's going to go play for a big, like a big time market, a big market franchise, right? In the league. That's what he wants to get done. And best believe he's going to force his way to go to where he wants to go. He's not going to let them just trade him. Like, it's not going to go down that way. No way. So even if they have the right to, even if he doesn't have no trade, even if he doesn't have the leverage, superstars always have the leverage. He'll end up where he wants to go. And he'll give them a list of teams. And I think on that list will be the Brooklyn Nets, Warriors, and Lakers, and maybe a surprise team, Houston potentially as well. Maybe them. Other than that, good luck. He might even say the Knicks. He might say he wants to play for the Knicks. Who knows? That might be on the list because the Knicks go trade McCall, sorry ass, and trade Cat and maybe flip that. But if you're a Knicks fan, you're saying tarnation right now because you wish you didn't trade all those picks for Mikal Bridges. Just saying, you probably are. But I know a bunch of Knicks fans that are.
We're not going to get into this again. We already talked about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to fool me.
And you agreed.
Sure, but we're not about to talk about it. No,
it's fun. It's painful for him, bro. That's
it's not painful.
All right. Well, don't you want to take a crack at Giannis?
That can happen. I'll leave it.
That can happen. Okay. All right. It can happen. We'll see if it's happening. We'll see if it happens or not. But
hey, if that does happen, I feel so bad for Cat. Big Bodega got to go to Milwaukee. What is it? What's the nickname now in Milwaukee?
Can I tell you why that trade is is unlikely? Because I think they've already kind of seen Cat's flaws. The NBA has the book is out on him, and if you can get a player that you can mold right into as they grow in their career, a young talent, you're going to take that over Cat. You're going to take that over Mikal. Mikal's a win now player, right? You can flip him, but why are you going to flip Mikal at his lowest point? Mikal's at his lowest point. He's not playing well. He's complaining. He said we should do layup lines at halftime because that helped me get my blood flowing. Mikal, shut up. You're just not playing well. Like, what are you talking about? Like, but this is what I'm saying. You're not about to
That's
be
not
able
why he
to
said that.
trade whatever. I don't even know why he said it, but it's crazy reading it.
It's the Tibbs frustration. That's what it is. But continue.
What? Okay, we can maybe we can have this conversation in a minute. But on my point, I just don't think I think they're gonna go trade for a guy that they think they can build around. Cat is not the answer. That's all I'm saying. So I think it's unlikely. I don't really believe it. And the picks ain't there to buffer it. Died though.
We will be talking about Knicks in that Piston series, but right now, currently, the Warriors are playing the Rockets. They are down. What was it, 28-13 or something of that sort? I think so. They're losing right now.
It's 31-13 now.
31-13. That's right. They hit a three. My bad. So, what was on the docket was the question, which might be different if they lose this game. But for the Warriors, who is the most irreplaceable piece for them if they're going to go on a run?
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. I got caught up here. What was the question? I apologize. This is bad for live TV or live podcasting. What was the question?
Who is the most irreplaceable player for the Golden State Warriors if they're going to make a run?
The most wow. It's a funny question because of the whole Draymond hype right now, right? He's a 16 game player and everything. I do think it's Draymond though. It is annoying. You're right. Not the answer people want to hear, not the sexy answer. And Jimmy's important, but they won a game without Jimmy, right? They got DNA that's built for this moment. Give them credit. They got a great coach and they got DNA. They got the DNA that's built for this moment to handle championship basketball, to handle high leverage situations on a stretch of games. And so without Draymond, their defense falls apart and the screen setting for Steph Curry falls apart and the enforcer for Steph Curry isn't there. And teams are really physical with him, and he can hold his own. I'm not going to talk about Steph Curry like he's some baby in a cradle. We tend to do that about light-skinned people. I'm not going to do that in this case. He can hold his own, but the real thing is, I think, the ability to set screens and the chemistry they have and just kind of knowing where each other are going to be at all times. It's great for Steph, and it's great for the team. And so much of what they do orbits around Draymond Green. I still think he's the most important part of that team, and he's the heart and soul. I think Jimmy's a very close second. Ever since they traded for him, he's tough, just like Draymond is. And very valuable to them, but Draymond really the show runs through him. If you think about it, all the split action they run, all the handoffs they run, right? All the cutters they run off the handoffs, all that stuff is through Draymond Green, right? That's the reality of it. So I think that's the easy answer there to me. I don't think it's particularly close. I know people may disagree. But the Warriors fans don't tend to like me very much. Gotta talk about how LeBron kicked their ass, but neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been their most important player through this whole 4 championship run. I mean, if you take Draymond off that team, you're like him and Steph Curry have that great chemistry, pick and roll. He knows how to set him up. He's coming off screens. He knows how to pass it to him in the right spots. Defensively, I mean, he's got a DPOY. He's always going to be up there just because of his positional versatility with how he can guard guards, centers, and muck things up a little bit for his size as a 6'6" power forward. So, yeah, Draymond Green's the heart and soul of this team too. Like he's the de facto captain. I think the leader in that locker room, the most vocal, sometimes to a fault, and I mean, I'm sure he'll say that he's got his faults too, but I mean, they wouldn't have 4 rings without him. I'm sure, yeah. KD came and got them a couple rings, but I think if you don't have Draymond on that team, it's a lot tougher to win.
Looking at the Rockets, they are down in the series. What went wrong for the Rockets? Why are they in this position?
They're a young and stupid basketball team. I really credit to that, and also Jalen Green. When you look at, I knew we were going to get here with Jalen Green, which is why I'm laughing. And I know, like you got to think about it, guys. Like they drafted this guy, top 2 in the draft. I believe it was the 2nd overall pick. Came out of where he was with the overtime team or whatever. I believe he was. I think he went to college, took that route, and he had all the talent in the world coming out of California. He could score the basketball with ease, right? And he's in the NBA, and Jalen's problem is that Jalen can't seem to score unless he's just dancing with the basketball aimlessly. And so they're asking, Ime would love for him to like score off a back cut, right? Come off a pin down, knock down a shot, be a more efficient catch and shoot player, right? Play more ethical hoops, right? So to speak. And he can't do it, which is why he cannot score in the playoffs because there's less. The only guy who really, you know how good you got to be to dance with the basketball in the playoffs? There are only a few guys in NBA history that can really do that, like Allen Iverson, Kyrie Irving. These are the best of the best doing that. Jalen Green does not fall in that category. So he is really struggling, and it's hurting them because they're missing that go-to scorer down the stretch of games. Bottom line, they're going Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun can't create for himself as often as a guard can. So it's really hard to run your offense through him and win a series against a really good basketball team in the postseason, right? Let alone anybody. So I think Jalen Green's been a difference. I think if he was a better basketball player, they'd be winning the series. I hate to put it all on him, but it's frankly, it's true. It's not the fact that Amen can't shoot the basketball. It's not that, because he's doing a good job defensively and he's getting to the rim and scoring and contorting his body and all that stuff. I'll tell him that if he wants to have a long career and make some money in the league, get a jump shot. You can't keep doing that forever. Your body will fall apart. But he's doing a good job. I think Dylan Brooks is playing out of his mind this year with in terms of making threes and everything. He's doing a good job. Van Vliet is a terrorist one game, and the next game he's awesome. He made a couple threes down the stretch of that last game I saw last night, 2 nights ago. So I think it's Jalen Green. They don't have a go-to scorer. Alperen's been awesome, and they have a toughness about them that you like. But where's the go-to scorer when things get tough? They don't have that, and that's why they're losing as well. So I'm really struggling with that team just because I knew we'd get here, and I was really interested to watch Jalen Green in this moment to see if he'd rise to the occasion. But in the back of my head, I knew he wouldn't. And I'm not hating on him. I'm just being honest based off what I've seen his entire career. He won't be a Rocket very long, and this only justifies why they want to trade him so bad. They will try like crazy to get a divorce from Jalen Green this summer. I promise you that. We'll hear his name in all types of trade packages. He may get traded. He's more than likely going to get traded because they wanted to anyways.
Looking at that Lakers Timberwolves series, it hurts my heart dearly that it is currently they are down 3-1. Anthony Edwards is doing whatever he wants to do. J.M. McDaniels looks like he needs to be on a all NBA first team. How he's getting whatever he wants, bucket after bucket. Naz Reid is outscoring the entire Lakers bench by himself. Same question. What went wrong with the Lakers?
Oh, well, this has been good. So the way I look at this Lakers series is simple. They're not able to get stops as a team, and it starts and ends with Luka Doncic. He's been horrific defensively. And when you're horrific defensively, you got to be amazing offensively, like you were in that Dallas series last year, where you got him up out of here, hitting that game winner over Rudy Gobert. He was so great offensively. We didn't talk about his defense like then, right? And they had bigs to cover for him. It was a different defense, understandably so. So his defense wasn't the point of contention. But you can't not give an effort defensively with no big behind you to clean up your mess and not be a phenomenal offensive player every time down the floor. That has not been the case. He had the flu game, which the supposed flu game, and then last game he was good he was really good offensively, but just ran out of gas because he's not in shape, to be honest. And he played him into the ground. But how old is he? He's 26. There's no excuse. 26 years old, you should be able to play the whole half if your coach asks you to play the whole half and not. I mean, come on, like what are we talking about? Bron is different, right? And Bron has been the best defensive player in the series. I'm not asking any more out of LeBron James than I'm getting. He's 40. This is ridiculous. We were supposed to leave this behind when Anthony Davis left, and Luka would carry the load offensively, and that's not happening. And it's unexcusable. It's unexcusable. So, look, as a Lakers guy, by default, due to LeBron being there, and you know what, Tony made a great point in the chat. Anthony Edwards played the entire fourth quarter, and he looked phenomenal. Right, he's in great shape. Even eating chicken and cheese curds and everything, the guy's in great shape. It don't seem to matter. So Luka has no excuse. It's unacceptable. He's going to get crucified playing in LA. After the season's over, he's gonna understand what it means to play in a big market, a true big market. Dallas, it was all sunshine and rainbow because they were stuffing their gullets with barbecue sauce all during the offseason. They're not worried about what you're doing, but you're in LA. It's gonna be a lot different. It's gonna be a lot different playing in LA. You're gonna be under a microscope, and they're gonna be all over you this offseason about your performance. It's unacceptable. Playing for that franchise, it's a first round knockout to the Timberwolves, who are 3 seats lower than you. It's unacceptable, but. Yeah, I think it boils down to defense, and obviously Jackson Hayes has been unplayable. But even with all those things being the case, the Lakers have been in control of every game, and it just falls apart at the very end, running out of gas. And don't look at LeBron James and blame him. He's been awesome defensively, awesome offensively for most of the series, but certainly the best defensive player in the series. And Luka's not living up to the big name that he's earned himself throughout his career, and it's unacceptable. I hope tonight we get a performance we'll never forget from him, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that for the rest of the postseason. We'll see what happens. But we do need guys at the bench to play better basketball too. Just saying.
Hey, Miles, do you think, and we've had this discussion with other players, do you think that teams in general, can they win with Luka? With Luka being your number one guy, can you win a championship with Luka?
It's tough because kind of like the Mavericks last year, it was perfect. They had the bigs behind them to help with defense, like Derek Lively and Gafford. When they made that trade, that was a good trade. It's tough if you don't have a big behind them to help play defense when that man drives past them. Because I mean, there's a lot of lowlights when it comes to defense for Luka. Like there's not many sitting in the stance and locking somebody up. He's real upright and just letting the guy kind of go past him. And now it's like 5-on-4, and it's hard to win when you have one guy who just consistently doesn't put effort in on the defensive end. And I mean, Nico Harrison, if he would have just waited a month to do all these interviews and post these press conferences, he's not totally wrong with his assessment of things in the Mavericks. It's just in the moment, trading a guy like Luka is so bad. But for the betterment of the franchise, I mean, who's to say that a couple years down the road that Nico wasn't right to make a move like this? That he saw the writing on the wall that, yeah, Luka's good enough to get us to the promised land, but he can't get us over the hump. It might not be enough. So yeah, it depends on his surrounding cast, supporting cast. I think that's what it comes down to. Like LeBron, maybe 32-year-old LeBron would definitely help Luka a lot more than a 40-year-old LeBron, because we're not expecting him to carry the load. This is not what should be asked of him at this stage of his career. But it almost seems like he's had to put it in gear at some points during the series. I'm going to say no. You can't win a championship with Luka as your best player. One, he dribbles the air out the ball. He's not good off ball. He doesn't move without the ball. He's pretty stationary when it comes to offense. And if they're running sets, I mean, I don't really see much cutting from him when it comes down to it. So if he's real engaged when he has the ball in his hands. When he doesn't have the ball in his hands, I mean, he might as well have stripes on. He might as well be a referee, because he's not helping out anybody on offense by just standing on the perimeter with his hands out, ready for the ball to get passed back to him. You see that too often with him. So I'm going to say no. You can't win a championship with Luka. I'm not taking away from how great he is, but yeah, he's a winning. Let me speak.
But he is though.
He is a winning player. He is a winning player.
You're gonna win a lot of games with him, and a team went to the finals with him as their best player last year.
Yeah,
he's a winning player. It's just he's not playing as well offensively as we're accustomed to him playing. And the Lakers don't run like offense, like they don't run like enough actions off the ball. To your point, because he's dribbling the air out the basketball, right? There's way too much pick and roll and guys just standing outside. If the Lakers were the Warriors from 10 years ago and they could shoot the ball like that, that'd be great. But they don't have that kind of shooting personnel. You have to run more action. You got to run split action. You got to run Iverson screens. You got to run all types of different things to get guys within the flow of the game. These are all rhythm shooters on the team. They got to see a couple shots go in. So you got to get guys on cuts and stuff like that. You got to get guys easy baskets. You got to get Jackson Hayes a couple easy lobs, keep him on the floor, keep him engaged. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, you got to play Jared Vanderbilt a little bit. He's got to see the floor. He's a great defender. You got to get those guys out there a little bit. I know Jared can't shoot the ball, and he doesn't bring much offensively, but he helps you. He gives you an energy. He gives you a pace defensively you need on the floor. These are all problems that Jada's going to learn from. Jada's a first-time coach, man. Like, playoff basketball is different. And to be honest, the Timberwolves are taking advantage of the inexperience. But, I think when you look at the Luka situation and how he's played, that part to me is the most inexcusable part, in my opinion. You need to take it upon yourself to play some defense. Wouldn't you want to prove Nico Harrison wrong and actually get some stops defensively and slide your feet? It doesn't make any sense to me that you're not taking this seriously. And the sad part is that tonight, when they play, he's going to be sliding his feet. He's going to play hard defensively. You'll see. He's going to come out and be sliding his feet, hands, active hands. Now, when the season's is about to be over, you know how hard it's going to be to come back down 3-1. It's not that they can't do it. They have the players to get it done. But that is going to be taxing for you. And then you got to go play another series against the Warriors, and you're tired. Good luck. I don't see you getting to the finals now. You had to handle your business early. That's what you have to do in a series to give yourself a chance to get to a championship. That's the bottom line.
You said it perfectly right there, because could it be done? Of course it could be done. Bron's done that before. But he is 40, and what we said from jump concerning the Lakers going into this playoffs, hey, I'm glad he's not in the play-in because it's extra games, more mileage, but now you're down 3-1. So it's going to be extra games, extra mileage on Bron, and like you said, that's going to take a whole lot out of you to get back and win that series. And then turn around and have to go play the Warriors, who are probably going to lose tonight, and then go home and win in Golden State. The Knicks, man, I had the Knicks winning. I thought they were going to close it out. The Knicks do not close it out last game in New York and now have to go to Little Caesars Arena. Do the Knicks close it out on the road against the Pistons?
I would like to say yes. I mean, I thought they would have come out with a little more spirit in Game 5, playing back at home in a closeout game, and give them credit. They played a great game, and our guys didn't. Brunson was not good last night. Towns had moments, but same thing. He wasn't good last night. So those guys are going to have to step up again. It felt like a mirror image of Game 2, where I felt like Jalen was trying to do too much at times. They got Towns more touches than Game 2, but a lot of settling for jump shots, and sometimes they get in this mode of trying to draw fouls and worrying about the referees too much, where it's like it's playoff basketball. Like, you're gonna get bumps, you're gonna get fouled. Not everything's gonna be called. You got to move on. You can't let it linger and interrupt the flow of the game. So I think they can beat them back home or in Detroit. I just think that the Knicks have more than what the Pistons can match up with. I'm gonna need Jalen to play a little more. I don't want to say aggressive, but like trust your teammates a little bit. Like, don't freeze out OG and some of these other guys. Like Macau, he's been turned into kind of like a corner 3-point shooter, shooting off pick and rolls. He can make plays. He's good in the mid range. OG, like, some of these guys got to get going early in the game so they're engaged, which helps them on defense and helps at the end of the game. So I'm expecting the Knicks to come out and have a better game tomorrow night. But yesterday was just real concerning because these other teams are more prepared for these situations. Like I saw a stat, they're 0-3 in closeout games in the last 2 years at the Garden. That can't happen. Like, and I feel like that comes down to coaching, and that's why you saw McCall say what he said about layup lines and all that stuff. Because he's like coming out of the locker room, there's like nothing prepared. There's no preparation. They've always had these slow post halftime starts where they might be up by 7. I turn the game on if I walk away from it. 2 minutes into the second half, they're down by 3. I'm like, how is this happening? This can't happen in the playoffs. Like you got to knock all these things out during the regular season. But I do believe it comes down to coaching. I think they can win this series in spite of Tibbs's faults. I mean, he made a mistake last game with just saving the timeout until the wee winding seconds of the game. I'm like, just call the timeout and get Josh and Jalen back in the game. You're letting Campaign throw up bricks and Deuce throwing up shots that aren't. He hasn't been good this series. I mean, let's face it, Deuce has been a minus in this series. So him not calling a timeout to get those guys in, that was huge. I think that lost them game 5 because if Jalen comes back in, I trust him to make the right decision. And you're actually worried about Jalen from the magnitude of how good he is. Campaign is not good. So I do think they'll win, but we'll see.
Well, actually, Miles brings up a good point there about Deuce. I think there are too many teams in the NBA that suffer from this, where like a key role player, and the Lakers are dealing with the same thing, where a key role player won't play well because guys don't get to their spots anymore. Guys only rely on taking threes. And if you're only taking threes and those aren't going in, and that's all you do for your team is help space the floor, then how are you supposed to be on the floor? Like, how do they play you? Right? Like, that's where the 3-point revolutions hurt basketball overall, actually. So you're seeing that with a bunch of role players in this postseason. It's not just Deuce McBride or Mikal Bridges, but you're seeing it across the board. Like if all you're gonna do is take threes and you're not getting to spots and you're not getting to your favorite spots, then exploiting the parts of your games that are the best, then how are you supposed to stay on the floor and how are you supposed to help your team win? And really it leads to losses. It leads to losses that you probably shouldn't have in the first place. But hey, everyone wants to just jack up threes, and that's a tough way to live no matter what level of basketball you're playing at, especially in the playoffs. And usually in the playoffs, we see more mid-range jumpers. I'm seeing a whole lot of just driving kicks to threes, which is part of the problem. So maybe the thing the Lakers and the Knicks should do, both of them, is get their guys going to their spots more. Get guys like Rui taking more mid-range jump shots. Get guys like Deuce getting to the middle of the floor more often for easy looks and floaters and being able to kick it out and play off of that and use athleticism a little bit more to get into the flow of a game, as opposed to just coming in the game, standing out there in the perimeter, waiting for Jalen Brunson to look at you, and then you catch it, and now you got to shoot it because it's a hot potato. That is not the way you're going to win in a postseason series, unless you're a phenomenal shooter. It's extremely hard to play that way. And I do think Mikal is suffering from that as well. I do think so. I think he's been suffering from that all year because he isn't being utilized the way he's being utilized back in Brooklyn, where he was the focal point of an offense, and even Phoenix, where he'd play with the second unit and he can catch the ball on a cut, be used as a slasher, land on 2 feet, rise up with that tall wingspan, and rise up and knock down a mid-range jump shot. It's the way he's being used that's as much of a problem, as opposed to, in addition to him not playing well. It's both things. They all work together. So it's a problem that basketball has across the board. And for as good as everyone talks about the postseason being and how high level the ball has been, I personally have hated watching the shot profile of these teams and then they're complaining about losing. Of course you're losing. Rui's jacking up 4 or 5 3 attempts in a game. He's a mid-range jump shot shooter. Why? What are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, get him a mid-range jump shot. Get him a pin down or something. Get him to a mid-range shot. I don't know. It's just me, but And Tibbs can't coach no offense, no way. So the Knicks are just screwed in that sense, even if they get out of this series, because they're going to struggle in the next one too. God forbid it's against Boston where the margin for error is smaller. Thank God the margin for error is large against Detroit. But Detroit's a tough, scrappy group. And they're going to fight them tooth and nail.
I think, too, with that Detroit series, it's a blessing that Beef Stew went out, because Beef Stew is probably the best defender for Cat, the best person that could defend him, even though it's a lot of antics and all that. He's in the conversation to make – he probably won't, but he's been in that conversation to be on an all-defensive team. He has that trajectory, so he's not even playing this series, which is a huge piece for them, especially with how Cat's been playing some of the games that they've won. With that being said, we have one series that we already know is the matchup for the next round. Cavs, Pacers. Cavs dog walked Miami Heat. Pat Riley needs to give up the controllers and needs to go to somebody else at this point. Pacers, we already talked about. They beat the Bucks. Cavs, Pacers, what's your prediction for that series? Who's the X factors for both teams for them to actually come out winning?
Cavs Pacers the next series?
Yeah.
I'll talk about the series. It isn't sexy. Golly. Damn. It's bad for ratings.
Mobley, I feel like, is.
Oh, the Cavs are going to win the series.
Well, yeah, no, of course. I wasn't debating that. I was just saying the X factor.
You about to go into you give the X factors and everything. You might as well put an X over the damn Pacers. They're done. They're cooked. It's over. They're not winning that series. I mean,
don't let Tyrese's dad see you in the streets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's wilding, by the way. He's out of control. They're gonna get him under control. You better chill out. I heard the NBA complaining about him and all this stuff. You better calm down. This bald ass head.
Hey, maybe we gotta go send a text to Uncut Remy, try to fix and see if maybe we could talk to him so he could chill out. But hey, we'll talk about it next series when it come up. Maybe if the Pacers end up winning a game, and we could revisit.
Do we think they're gonna win a game in this series? Do we think they're gonna win a game?
I think they get one.
Did they get one?
Because it's the Cavs. I could see the Cavs.
Yeah.
I could see a game where Donovan Mitchell isn't on, or Donovan Mitchell could ball out, but nobody else shows up.
Yeah.
Darius Garland doesn't show up. You have a situation, Evan Mobley, he's not being aggressive. He's disappearing. Jared Allen, he's getting rebounds, but he's not scoring. Now you're relying on Ty Jerome to come off the bench and have the series that he had last series, which he averaged something crazy like 21, 6, and 7 off the bench.
He's going to get paid. Oh, my gosh.
OD. Niang was mad, but no, that man is getting paid.
He's about to get paid. Oh my God! Like Orlando's gonna give him a blank check because he needs the shooting. He can catfish him into that money. He's about to get paid. Oh my Lord!
Orlando needs shooting bad, and we saw it in that series. Paolo, he's doing his thing. He's looking like a little bit like Melo right there, playing well. Franz playing well, but nobody else really came to the party. No Cole Anthony, no who the other one, Anthony Black. Ain't none of them. That logjam of guards did not show up. Jalen Suggs was busy supporting Haley at the WNBA draft. He was injured. He ain't really show up. The Magic guards and the Magic wings outside of the two names that we mentioned, they weren't ready. Here at the BME, we stay ready, so we ain't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
I